controversial subjects with the facts can be tense, but we are A$AP Science here to make things make sense.
Metabolism is so fascinating, so cool. I think everyone has kind of an opinion about it. Like,
what? Like, I have a fast one?
Yeah,
like
people are always like, oh, I've got such a fast metabolism. Or like, my metabolism's slow. Like, after you hit 30, people say your metabolism like stops. So I'm just interested to...
But it does.
Does it?
Not necessarily right at 30, but it slows as you age.
Sure. Well, I have some extra research, more modern research on that we're going to investigate.
Whoa, okay. Well, mine was that it did, so maybe I'm lying.
No, you're not lying. You're not lying. It's just like more nuance.
Our bodies require a lot of calories to keep going. You know that your brain consumes 1/5 of your calorie intake, even though it's 1/50th of your body weight.
Wow.
Which is kind of cool, because when I think about my metabolism, I always think about my muscles and my heart and my like oxygen and CO2 release. But it's like, oh, my tiny gelatin like brain thing is 1/5 of my calories.
That is wild. Humans are so smart.
We're so smart and we're so amazing. And honestly, okay, so how would you define metabolism?
Okay, I would say a generic or general description of metabolism is the calorie burning your body does naturally.
Yeah.
That obviously changes based on your movement patterns, but it's kind of like the baseline. Like, without you working out or without you running around all day, like, what is your body going to burn just to like function?
Okay, but isn't metabolism... Yeah, no, that is fair. And I think that is what I also think. But from a biological standpoint, when people say what the definition of life is...
Okay.
Metabolism is one of them. Having a metabolism.
Okay.
Right? So it's like, it's kind of also just a biochemical process that all living things have.
Right.
I think. Because even like at its most basic, it truly is about taking energy from the sun and utilizing it as a living form. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like, it's all just about how your body, but also any living thing.
Yeah, I think if you strip it down and go into the micro,
because even
just
microorganisms,
like the way energy is being transferred or created or broken inside of a body.
Yeah, which I think is why also I think metabolism is so fascinating, is that it as a concept is what separates all living things from like a rock.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm sure at some level you could argue the way that a rock interacts with its environment and it's being worn down by wind and water and stuff. It's like, I'm not saying this is metabolism, I'm just thinking philosophically about how everything does change and break down. Even though rocks don't have metabolisms, they do change over time.
Okay, you're Bjork. But yeah, no, like but that's what I mean. Metabolism does, I think, have a biological definition in the sense that...
Yeah, and I think colloquially, in the way that people refer to it, is more about like what your body does when you're not trying to do more with it. Like when we're talking about basal metabolic rate in people, when people are saying, oh, I have a high metabolism, they're trying to say my body, even without trying, burns a lot of calories. And so people who have high metabolisms, quote unquote, will often feel like I can eat anything and I like don't gain weight because I have like a really fast metabolism that breaks things down and uses a lot of energy. Is kind of the way people talk about it, who are not necessarily trying to describe like a scientifically accurate way.
Yeah. Hummingbirds have the fastest metabolism.
Oh, really?
And it's why, like, if you think about how our metabolism is essentially, like, if you think about it, breaking down your food starts in your mouth, right? Like, you have saliva, which starts to break down starch in your mouth. If you didn't know that, that's such a good biology grade 11 fact.
Oh,
grade 9.
Maybe it was 11.
Grade 9, 11. When it's like, you have amylase in your saliva, which breaks down starch. But truly, from the second food enters your mouth, it is being broken down through your gut, through all the acid, through your intestines, to eventually get in your body to the form of glucose. And that's why hummingbirds, who have the fastest metabolism, you give them literally pure glucose and water. Because it's like that's what they need. It's like, give me it. Whereas we have like all this breakdown that happens on our GI tract to get the glucose eventually into our bloodstream. But it's like something like a hummingbird with a fast metabolism is like, I don't have time for that. And that's why you give them sugar water.
Hummingbirds are a wild hot take.
They're so incredible.
Well, like also hot take, they're wild. Is there such a thing as can you trap a hummingbird? Like, do people
don't even say that, because some sick fuck, definitely has.
But just being like, how do you flap so fast?
Hummingbird heartbeat. Who's this? An instant the wings make me fly. You give me that hummingbird heartbeat.
Is it Demi Lovato?
No, but close.
Swift?
No, but close.
I forget.
Pop Girly.
Like
Pop Girlina. Currently in Vegas. Okay, let me see if I can do it. No, let me see if I can do it like a better impression.
Katy Perry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, to give me that hummingbird heartbeat.
I thought. Yeah. No, okay.
Got it? Because your heart flutters.
Yeah.
Hummingbirds are absolutely incredible.
And because like they flat. I wonder if their hearts go really fast too. Probably.
They are. No, yeah. That's why the song's about. It's one of the fastest heartbeats in the world. Fastest metabolisms too.
They're wild.
Oh my god. But anyways, yeah. We also part of for humans metabolism is the glucose that we eventually absorb in our bloodstream and what we do with it.
Sorry. What do you think? Sorry.
That's our metabolism. How our body deals with the glucose, breaking it down for the energy that you then use.
There's an interesting, I'm not totally sure this like correlates directly to metabolism.
Is it a side note?
Well, it's related because it's about exercise, and I've been saying I have like maybe this video has come out by the time this podcast come out. And I didn't put this in the video, so this is a true tidbit for everyone. Whoa. But it was like in certain ways when they try to put people on. You know when you just like know something, but I can't articulate it and I don't know it at all. But it was some way
someone has a podcast. I want to figure that out.
I should have read it before I came here. This is so long. I feel like I'm melting all of a sudden. It was about how the body often compensates for small life changes. So when people exercise, like your basal metabolic rate is such that if you don't do enough activity, like a lot of people, like their legs will bounce and they'll do little things with their body because your body is like doing stuff. But if you're somebody who then works out a bunch, your body will like not do as much because it's like fine. It knows
that's
like
interesting,
right? Is that did that make sense?
It made sense. Yes.
I'm trying to think of the bigger picture in which I read that, but it was interesting to realize sometimes when they implement like exercise regimes or health strategies for people, they realize the body just compensates and that just making people exercise more doesn't necessarily, like sometimes your body then is like, okay, I'm going to do less work now because I've used up that energy.
Wow.
Whereas people who are sitting around may have more like fidgety behavior, and that kind of stuff can actually burn a lot more.
That's really interesting.
You realize. Yeah.
I mean, it like for me, it kind of makes sense in that like I am like a fidgeter, but when I actually have never thought about that, but I'm excited to think about if I fidget less
when you're like high
on a day that I've gone to the gym.
Or like you're like walking all day.
Like that's like kind of interesting.
I know. I feel like I used to be a knee bopper, like when you, like knees bounce, but I feel like since starting to work out more consistently, I feel like
the knee ain't bopping.
Not as much. But then I've always just thought it's because I'm older and I like don't have as much energy, but it might be both.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool. That does make sense. So. Yeah, the Krebs cycle we mentioned earlier, we're obviously not going to explain.
Imagine we were like, so part one.
Yeah,
it's actually a 4-hour podcast where we're just going to verbally talk about the entire Krebs cycle. Well,
but okay, one thing that the Krebs cycle made me think of was this quote, and I found it, and it's kind of cool, which is that life is nothing but an electron looking for rest. And I was like, that's so interesting because all the Krebs cycle is doing is taking photons from the sun, the energy from photons from the sun, which are then going into chlorophyll, which then go through, the
chain of
reactions to build up something like starch. So it's like using the energy to build something up. And then our metabolism and any animal's metabolism really is just taking that plant, like whether it's eating it directly or through the cow that ate it. Hopefully not the cow. We need to stop deforestation. But a cow's a good example because everyone can picture a cow that's eaten a shit ton of grass and turned that energy into like its flesh.
Yeah, usable energy for the body and or to stored energy for the body.
That we eventually get to the process of our metabolism is when we start to break that down for our energy.
Right.
And what it is all the energy is coming from is just the atoms in that food and the stored energy of atoms and electrons. And then really it's just like the electrons going into your body. And then the Krebs cycle is where they start to, that's the electron transfer to those NADHs. This might sound like gibberish, but if you know what we're talking about, which many people will, it's like the NADHs, and they're like, you have to like add them up. Then it goes, it literally just, it goes to then the proton pump where it pumps all the protons to create the thing in the mitochondria where electrons are trying to get to rest, and that's how you create ATP, which is the full power of your body.
Yeah.
So life is just actually electrons looking for rest in the entropy of our world.
That's absolutely disturbing in a great way.
Yeah, and like, is it? Okay, this is why science is the coolest thing in the world, because you get to learn about life, not like just opinions on a goddamn English book. Wow, okay, I just like lost my mind.
Which is also just photons trying to be at rest.
Ultimately. What, art?
Everything.
Side note, okay, we're talking about art?
No,
kidding,
no, it's just fascinating to think about that scientists know what this level of detail.
Okay, because this is
which is probably also ultimately so little amount of detail and the actuality. But then the question is there actually an actuality?
Okay, no, Mitch, I actually am like,
because there was a physics breakthrough that just got the Nobel Prize that blew my mind. I was watching a video explaining it this morning, and it's about they proved the universe isn't real.
Okay, so this is a side note. No, you need to write that down for a separate episode.
Okay,
because one thing I want to say is that this is actually known. The Krebs cycle and electron transport chains and ATP.
I know.
It's sorry, I'm like, it's big enough that there's no other. I thought you were almost saying like, do we even know? It's like,
no, I wasn't. I was saying it's unbelievable that we know that. But then I was thinking there's probably smaller and more intricate in ways, like when we're talking about physics, like and we're quantum. Talking about how these things at different sides of the universe can be like simultaneously interacting with each other. Like there's so many levels of science we don't understand. I am saying we understand.
Oh, sorry.
I
know, and this is the Yeah. This is like,
which blows my mind. And then I just my side note thought was to go, like, there's so much we don't know.
I thought y'all were like questioning the goddamn electron transport chain. I'm like, if there's one thing we know, it's how the freaking mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
I think it's unbelievable. It's amazing.
It's the best part of science.
I was going to do that physics thing for my moduling this week, but it was over my head and I need to learn more about it, and we can talk about it another time. When it comes to metabolism, shall I talk a little bit about what happens to the ages, or do you have anything else about?
No, keep going. We'll go back and forth. I could talk forever about this.
Okay, because we all have a personal opinion on like, do you think you have a high metabolism?
Okay. Do you think you have a high metabolism?
You're so annoying. I just asked you.
Oh my god.
Well, I already.
Sometimes during this podcast, we're like, we need to think about how to do TikToks. I was literally just trying to hate you so much. I gave you eyes, and you were like, but you're annoying.
I already teed you up.
I know, but you didn't in a TikTok way. Let me try one more time. Oh, wait. Okay.
Okay. This is inside baseball.
Us trying to make a TikTok,
and he's like, Greg's looking at the camera.
Okay. Stop laughing because it has to be
okay.
Do you think that you have a fast metabolism?
I don't know. Like, imagine reaction.
No, come on, keep going. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Because this is not interesting.
Do you think? No, okay, now I actually want to know.
Okay, ask me for real, and I'm going to pretend we're not putting this on the internet.
Okay. Do you think you have a fast metabolism?
I don't know. I think it's pretty average, to be honest. Do you think yours is fast?
I always thought mine was fast, but then sometimes I look around and think no.
I feel that yours feels fast because you radiate so much heat all the time.
Whoa, someone's saying I'm literally hot.
No, like even when your extremities are cold, and maybe this is like
I have
a medical condition.
I know, it's like Raynaud's.
But is it actually?
Well, me and my friend like to say that we have Raynaud's.
But then does that make your body so warm?
Yeah. Because like you don't, it's like
you are always so warm internally.
I know. And then my extremities are so cold and my lips are blue.
And I also feel like you use so much water. Like we could drink the same amount. I pee so much more. I feel like you naturally need more food than I do. Like you're always eating.
Well, I'm bigger, babe.
Yeah, you are taller.
Oh, thanks for saying that.
Anyway.
But no, like I do. That's what I mean. I kind of think I have a fast one, but then it's just one of those scale things. And you meet someone who you can just know does have a faster one. Like it's just like I don't like as my life goes on.
But that's what I kind of have a hard time believing because you can't just blanket statement someone has a certain kind of metabolism. Like there's so many life factors. It's just because somebody eats a lot and is skinny, like they probably have other factors in their life that are impacting that. I'm not saying a high metabolism like can't be part of that, but I think the range of what a metabolism does for your body, I don't actually know the answer to this, but I imagine it's probably more narrow than people realize.
Yeah, it really is kind of worthless to say you have a fast or slow metabolism. Although some people, you can have hypothyroidism.
Oh, of course, there's actual medical conditions.
Yeah. In which case you would be like, I do have a slower fast one.
I have some evidence to show that it's not as big of a deal breaker by looking at what happens through the years. So I'm going to go through what happens to your metabolism through the years and when it quote unquote drops off or not. Okay. So a lot of people think it's often touted that 30 years old is where your metabolism shifts. And we do know from studies we've talked about, 34, a lot of hormonal changes happen in your body around that age. But it turns out your highest metabolism, when do you think it is?
Ooh, like puberty.
Okay, a lot of people think that.
Wait, no, then I'm damn it.
Dummy. No, I'm joking. So your highest metabolism is actually when you're like young, like a baby. Like your body has such energy needs. It's like growing so much.
Okay, fine.
By your first birthday, babies burn calories 50% faster for their body size than an adult.
That makes total sense.
Because it's relative to their body.
Yeah, and when I watch my baby nephew eat, I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's so much food. It's endless.
Yeah. And they're just, like, because all they can do is grow.
Like grow, yeah.
It's like at that age, you just put it into getting like taller and bigger. It's like, you don't even have to worry about, once you get to a certain age, you stop growing tall. You're like, you can only grow a different way, you know?
This is a bit of a side note, but the puberty thing is because that's like when I start to have conscious memories of like dummying boxes and boxes of Chips Ahoy cookies while watching like Will and Grace. And just like not thinking about it. You know what I mean? And being
you probably were like really active though. And in thinking about your brain consuming so many calories, like you're in school, you're having so many experiences.
Also, you're going to puberty, so you're gym class. So I always did gym class.
That's so not embarrassing actually, but it scares me.
No, what I think is embarrassing when someone
that I didn't do gym.
No, like when there's there's an option in high school where you get to run around in circles and pretty much get an A. Like, sorry, they're not gonna like. You know, like the only time
not everyone gets an A, Greg.
Okay, but like it's not that hard to impress your gym teacher because they're dumb. Kidding. No,
my God.
There's a lot of overlap between science and gym teachers. I take that back. Kinesiology majors, where are you at? But I do feel like I couldn't, like my passions were science and art, but I couldn't fathom like literally giving up the opportunity for like a free gym membership and it being a credit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was always like,
I was just so scared of it. It's so scary.
Oh, scared of it. As
gay. Yeah. It's like pretty scary, spooky.
I don't know how I had that in me to like not worry about that. I only came out in grade 12. Like in grade 11, I was like, yeah, boys, excited to wrestle you. Not for any other reason.
Yeah. Even in like grade school and stuff, there was some activities like during track, like I liked to run. I didn't love like there was just certain sports that maybe it was like group sports I felt more insecure about.
You know what? Gym class, never forced to do football. Like it's gym class is like actually, at least in my school, it was like badminton. I was like, yeah, I'm actually gonna win. Did I ever tell you my badminton story? Side note.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, so listen to this.
Let me guess. Champion.
Listen to this.
School board.
This is actually a really good public service announcement about why marijuana is bad, even though it is one of my favorite things in the world. So picture this, grade 12. It's the badminton unit. So yeah, I'm slaying, as the kids say.
So you're like 16, 17?
Yeah, 16, 17. You know, the eye-hand coordination on this guy is pretty good.
At the top of the class.
Especially when we're in a racket sport. But then we have to throw a ball. I ain't catching it. So there's the two hottest jocks in our school. If you're listening, yeah, that's you, Dusty and Michael Bates. And I actually hope they're listening because, like, yeah, you guys are so hot. So then,
are they still? No, you can't. It doesn't matter.
Probably.
Moving on.
But like, you know what I mean? Like people who are like hot, it's like, yeah, you're set for life.
I feel the opposite. There's a lot of people peak in high school, and I've looked back sometimes.
Wow.
But to me, it's also like the bullies, and I'm like, yes, I'm so happy.
Oh, these ones
ugly.
Weren't bullies.
Yeah,
yeah. Actually, they
hot,
were
nice
friends
guys
with the bullies,
hot.
but they're like, yeah.
Lesson to be learned. If you're listening and you're young and you're hot and you turn into a bully, you will be ugly when you're older.
Literally, inside and out. That's so true.
It changes you.
And if you're hot, just like due to statistics, you are more likely to be around the bullies. It's just sadly how the world works. You need to not let them poison your mind.
Be nice, hot.
Be Dusty and Mike
old
Bates.
Gay will like you.
Yes.
Still.
So anyways, we're doing the badminton unit. We're killing it. And it's like round robin. We're making it to the top. And truly the two jocks versus me and my friend Brian is what it comes down to. But because of the way timing went, the badminton unit was like ending, and the next day we were starting like volleyball or something. So then that happened to be the day of 420, which is famously when people smoke marijuana. And it was the first time I decided to get stoned at school. Never do this, okay? Show up to gym class thinking we're starting volleyball, and they're like, no, before we start, we have to do the final game of the hot jocks versus you and your friend. And I was like, wait, what? It's like the first time I've ever walked into the high school stoned. I'm freaking out. I walk in. Everyone's like looking at me. They're kind of like sitting down around the court.
Like waiting
I'm like,
for the
what's
game?
happening? What is happening? And they're like, you have to face off. We lost. We didn't get 1 point. I remember them serving and the birdie coming over, hitting the ground, and me like literally swinging like after, and then like laughing, and then slowly almost having to look at everyone and even the teacher and be like, I'm stoned. Like, because it's like I can't, like I couldn't like not let people know. So then now the teacher like sadly knows, and he's just watching us get to 21 while these 2 stone guys giggle and these other 2 jocks, just no joke, destroy us. And I'm like, we actually were good. It was awful. I was so sad. I would never
deep down,
ever go back and do that again.
I'm just like imagining that actually you were never that good. And this is your you and Ryan's coping mechanism to realize like everyone was so bad, and there was and let me finish. There was 2 straight good athletic guys, and they had to face you, and the only way you could take the loss was to be like, I'm so stoned.
Oh my god, that is so freaking rude. You have you've seen me smash a birdie in your face, bud.
Actually, not really, but I've seen you do ping pong and tennis really well, so I can only assume.
You can only imagine what I can do with
you love a racket.
I love a racket, including making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a side note.
If we didn't give you a little hook before about the metabolism, here we are 10 minutes later to explain the rest.
Sorry, puberty, high school. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, that's where we left off. So it is true, as you said, that metabolism slows. It says about 3% each year until your 20s. But then it levels off to a new normal. So a lot of people think that in your mid-20s and into your 30s, it like drops off. And in fact, a lot of people think in your early 20s is when it's at its peak, right? Like that's when we're still like in university eating Mr. Noodle or like ramen every single day, like craft dinner.
Speak for your literal self.
So that people's metabolisms are the most stable in their lives between 20 to 50. Again, contradicting.
Stable.
Yeah. So of course it is a little lower, and it does up until 20 decrease, but then between 20 and 30 your metabolism stays pretty much the same. And that's when a lot of people think it decreases the most. It doesn't really start to decline again until around the 60s, and it's only gradual, around 0.7% a year. But it is true, like a person who's in their 90s needs 26% less calories every day than someone in midlife. So like, yes, it does change. Cool. When you're elderly, like you don't need as much food because your metabolism is slower. But that brings up a big question. Why do so many people feel like their metabolism changes in midlife? Like a lot of people feel like, oh, when I hit 40 or when I had kids, like my metabolism went way worse. I either gained a lot of weight or just my body changed. So there's an actual study that recently just looked at this. They followed 5,000 people. It's from the American Heart Association. And they found basically the age-related weight gain has almost nothing to do with metabolism, and it's almost all to do with movement patterns. So people just actually become less active without realizing it, but they keep the same diet. And so as a result, like they end up, even if it's minor, in a minor calorie surplus over decades can add up to like a big change. And you know what I mean?
That's so comforting because it kind of makes you, I feel like when you think about how people are all like, oh, my metabolism.
It doesn't feel dooms. You kind of have a little more.
Like, well, I have no control over this or whatever. Which also you don't, because like, of course, it's all genetic and there's so many
everyone's
things
body
you don't have.
Is different.
Yeah, but it's like control over your control as your baseline humanity.
Yeah, and the nice thing, even this study looked at, there was no difference in activity for people who like did intense bouts of concentrated activity like fitness or gym sessions versus people who did little bits at a time or low energy like walking. So it's not like in these years you have to be like running and going to the gym. It was like, no, it's just about moving, walking, simple activities, cleaning your house. The more movement you did, the less likely you were to experience this like quote unquote perceived metabolism change.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So I thought that was really interesting. It on the one hand can help bust myths. Of course, there's so many other factors that come into life. As people age, injuries are more likely.
Inflammation, disease.
Disability. Like there are lots of different things that can change people's bodies. But the idea of metabolism, it just kind of feels empowering to be like, okay, you're not like, it's not this death sentence to your body that your metabolism just turns off.
Okay, so then there's another really cool thing about metabolism. Literally obsessed. I'm going as metabolism for Halloween next year. Just like the Krebs cycle and like NADHs and like imagine like trying to get the electron pump in there. Imagine trying to get the. Oh my god, it's going on forever. It's like a long cardboard
it's just
line.
like 5 people in a row.
Oh my god, in a row.
Oh, that's cute.
That's honestly.
We got to do something like that. Yeah, where one of us is like the electron.
Oh my god,
or
like
something.
passing the electron through you. Like everyone would just be like, okay, we got it.
You're like, oh, you guys like science? Okay, that's weird.
And at that point, you're like, wow, I just did an intense science project. But okay, so again, this is a little relying on people either understanding this, if not, just like what we're saying is true and it's crazy. But the way your body breaks down glucose in the metabolism of your body changes when there's oxygen involved and when there's not.
Vis-a-vis aerobic versus anaerobic
respiration.
metabolism.
Yeah, respiration. Yeah, exactly. Anaerobic has an N, so you remember not the one with oxygen,
negative,
not oxygen. So the examples they use is sometimes when you're doing extreme exercise, your body will actually not have enough oxygen because you're not breathing enough based on how much energy and
your
metabolism is happening, like Krebs cycle, literally. That then there's a process of fermentation. It's a way that your body panics and starts to try and get the energy out without oxygen.
Yeah. Which they say is often like correlated with lactic acid, right?
Yes.
So a burning a burning sensation when you're doing like long-term cardio.
It's
is
literally
your body changing modes to get the energy it needs.
So the metabolism in your body is changing because oxygen, not enough oxygen, is physically available biologically in your body. So they started to look at cancer cells and realize that for some reason they act as if they're starved for oxygen even when oxygen is present. Like they're
going through basically anaerobic.
Okay, so this is the thing. It's so new in the science that you can't really even say. It's like
it is.
What they're saying essentially is that when we look at cancer, we're constantly talking about genes. It's like true. As you age, like your cellular machinery, your genes, the machinery that reads your genes starts to break down. Mutations happen. This is like the way that like we're taught how cancer is created. All these metabolism scientists who are so cool, wish that was my job, are looking at how, wait a second, also we need to be looking at cancer from a metabolic perspective. And that we don't know why these cancer cells are acting like there's no oxygen present, but we should start figuring it out because this could be the key to the cure. Cure is a strong word. Treatments for cancer, but we're so fixated on genetics. Yeah. And then they were saying that like from the age of like, essentially, as you age, your mitochondria have wear and tear. That's why you're like, it's kind of separate from what you were saying, but like essentially your mitochondria aren't going to work as well as you age. Okay. Yeah. And they're like, obviously notice that like cancer increases as you age. Right. And they're just kind of like, we have to fixate on metabolism more, bring it more to into maybe the fold. Find new. Isn't that cool?
Wow. It's like cancer is the gravity of biology. Does that make sense? You know, when they're like, we don't understand. Or it's like the unifying theory of physics. This is like they're trying to unify the theory of like cancer to be like, it's actually, how can we bring in all these metabolism as well as genes as well as this to understand what cancer actually is.
So they were also saying because of how the mitochondria essentially tires, it's why as you get older, it's harder to have bursts of explosive energy. You can gain weight. And essentially, like you end up suffering from like low grade chronic inflammation.
I missed what the first thing you said was like, this is when, what?
Like as your mitochondria essentially gets worse at working as you age, you end up suffering from like almost like low grade inflammation. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just like a little, not opposite of what you're saying, but it's like once you get past 50 and get to a certain age, you will have a harder time like having explosive energy. Like your body won't be able to necessarily like do that in the same way. And like that's biological. Yeah. And it says you will gain weight, but like that's like, I guess you're kind of saying maybe that happens after 50.
Yeah, and maybe this is maybe a big game of definitions, right? Like the way they were measuring metabolism was through like urine metabolites. Like I didn't fully understand the way they did it, but it's like there's a gold standard way to test somebody's metabolism baseline, and this, maybe actually different. Yeah, energy levels may be different than what the baseline of the body is like breaking down and producing.
This is talking about mitochondria going through wear and tear. So that's going to be a gradual thing. It's not going to be, you know what I mean? Like that's just something that you can only understand as you age is going to happen. And the result of that could be more involved with cancer than we've ever thought.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting.
Cool.
I love when fields of science like cross-pollinate. Like it is the coolest thing when like a physicist can work with a biochemist or something like that, or a neuroscientist can realize the problem to a brain disease is actually physics. You know, it's about like the way our neurons are firing in light and impulses and stuff. Like it's just cool when the cross-disciplinary things come to play.
People are so smart.
But yeah, don't fixate, I think, on your metabolism too much. Like if you are worried about health and stuff, it's not. I think it's just take care of yourself.
No, what it also is, it's like let's stop even thinking about metabolism as that like gaining weight. It's like let's think about it as the cool ass literal physical thing it is, and just start getting obsessed that your body can do it in general.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
And
like I take
you know what?
food and
that
like energy.
You could do it. I think there's an interesting thing that a lot of people do. Like like we disown those parts. Like that's not.
Yeah, because we don't have to think about it.
Yeah, but that is actually
all of us.
Yeah.
It's the most you thing they ever could be. Kind of. Yeah. Literally.
It's just fascinating that it's like your body does that, but that is you.
I feel like it's almost like you could philosophically like argue that you is the moment that electron is ripped from the plant and given to you. You know what I mean? Like what is you? It's like that is it. It's just the energy. That moment of energy transfer.
That's mind-blowing.
That's you. I start crying. That's you. And it's all so crazy. Different episode, but that there's trillions of bacteria that are like
who are
doing
also
it
you.
for us.
In fact,
and
more you,
but also like really aren't you. You know what I mean? But have taken over you.
Which is really cool. And why aren't they you? They are you. They are extensions.
Yeah, sorry, they are you. But biologically
that is, not to bring up Alan Watts again, and I know we're going to end this episode any minute now, but it's like a lot of what he talks about is why do we feel so separate from the world, where lots of other cultures and philosophies are like, no, it's an extension of us. Like, why do we feel like our body stops at our skin?
Oh my God, I'm literally like, welcome to Sidenote. I'm like, it's capitalism. Because I'm actually like, it's true because capitalist structures have forced us away from like literally our bodies and nature. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, want to know what is the menacing thing that makes us forget? Capitalism. Literally,
that might be
wealth,
one of the causes for
hoarding, buildings. It's like, I'm just, I've been listening to the Bjork podcast, so I'm like, we all need to just go into nature right now and stop talking and listen to birds.
But we did watch that show alone, and sometimes nature can be devastating and cruel and awful as well, you know?
Sorry, I like haven't experienced that in my life because it's like so funny because I've never forced myself. Yeah, I'm like, I'm actually gonna go home to my air conditioning.
Nature's beautiful, but it's like it can be very against you. Do you know what I mean?
Like, but I'm saying like that is from like a History Channel show's perspective. I'm saying in my life, I've like never felt that because I'm so privileged. You know what I mean? Like because I've only ever had full safety. So I'm just saying, I don't know if that's true because I'm just like, we are watching a history reality show with intense music.
Fair.
And then a lot of the time they are actually being like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. You know what I mean? But they're trying to hook you and they're like, there's a boar coming. And they're like, this is real. There's nothing harder than this place. It'll really set you straight and kill you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we love you all so much. Be proud and aware of your metabolism.
Greg throwing out love.
I'm feeling good.
All right, thanks for listening. Oh, whoa, you're not feeling good.
Ending on a cough? Oh, God, after saying
first the burp and then a cough. Okay, we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Burp.